In this Torchlight Infinite beginner guide, I'm going to run you through several tips that will help get you started quickly and get you on your feet. I'll be talking about the types of skills you should focus on and how to farm for common currencies and resources, to name a few. If you're searching for ways to thrive in this ARPG, then this guide is for you. This is a sponsored post. Please note, sponsored posts are only sponsoring coverage. Our opinions on the game are our own and not affected by any business relationships with developers or publishers. Torchlight Infinite is a free-to-play action RPG which features a variety of systems ranging from character builds and loot to active and support skills, together with pack spirits. Not to mention that there are several in-game currencies to take note of to know which ones you'll be chasing after. In this Torchlight Infinite beginner guide, our goal is to focus on the various tips and tricks to understand how to leverage the game's mechanics to your advantage. Let's start with the best beginner-friendly classes. Torchlight Infinite features 5 basic classes, namely Berserker, Divine Shot, Frostfire, Spacetime Witness, and Commander. Out of this selection, however, the best beginner-friendly heroes are Berserker and Frostfire, primarily due to their core attributes, which are Strength and Intelligence respectively. Strength not only boosts melee damage, but also increases max life. Comparatively, Intelligence raises max mana that is needed to activate powerful skills, as well as Energy Shield for improved defenses. Berserker Han is your usual barbarian who deals excellent damage up close and personal using one-handed or two-handed weapons like hammers and axes. They are known for their rage, which grants them Berserk. Once its max level is achieved, they deal additional burst damage. If you want to crush opponents at melee range while successfully absorbing a ton of damage, then you should choose the Berserker class. Meanwhile, Frostfire Gemma specializes in fusing ice and fire elements to cast powerful spells thanks to her trusty staff. What's really cool about her is the ability to balance ice and fire damage depending on the enemy's weakness and energy used. If you intend to play like a mage with the benefits of controlling the battlefield while dealing massive damage, then Frostfire is right for you. As with most ARPGs, Torchlight Infinite will provide you with a ton of gear after slaying regular and powerful enemies. The tricky part is sifting through them to know the ones worth equipping. What's important is you should not get swayed by the damage and survival percentage increases when comparing gear. The reason for this is that even if these show an increase, they still might not be the best fit for your build. Instead, you should maintain synergy across talents and equipment when choosing gear. The main stats and affix to focus on are AoE damage and attack speed, allowing you to clear enemies effectively. You'll need to boost them as much as possible so you can level up quickly by one-shotting multiple targets at once. In addition to these, you have to invest in talent nodes that provide you with similar support passives. For instance, Berserker Rahan, if you intend to amplify his weapon attack and fire damage to build upon the Flame Strike ultimate skill, you should go for the God of Might talent tree. Pick at most 2 damage types to improve and focus on those to maximize your capabilities versus choosing many, which will yield average results. When you reach Netherrealm, you'll notice a spike in difficulty since hordes, mini-bosses, and powerful enemies will attempt to shred you to pieces. Rather than spreading yourself thin by investing in life, energy shield, evasion, and multiple elemental resistances at the same time, you should pick 2 defensive stats instead. I highly recommend increasing armor or energy shield for all classes to prevent your HP from getting depleted. Armor is useful against weapon attack and physical damage, whereas energy shield is more versatile since it can withstand any damage type. However, you should also consider the class you're playing. If you're a Berserker, then it makes more sense to invest in strength rather than prioritizing intelligence simply for the energy shield increase. Thankfully, you do have talents that provide enough armor and life as compensation should you follow the former route. Another way to improve your effectiveness is by equipping trigger skills. Trigger skills will only need to fulfill specific requirements to automatically activate rather than hitting specific keys. The good ones to take are auto defense and cast when taking damage. You should then link them to various defensive support skills like Stone Skin to absorb damage which can prevent you from dying. To be able to equip skills, you need to have a huge pool of energy which you get by default every time you level up. The most efficient way to gain this resource, however, as you are progressing is by empowering your equipment. High-value equipment starting at level 45 already has corresponding energy values, but sometimes a good piece of gear may not have a high amount of energy. Remember, though, that you can still raise its energy by empowering the gear itself via the arms dealer, otherwise you won't have enough resources to activate many skills at a time. Note that you'll need energy cores when rolling for new energy values. These are usually obtained from mobs, so you can keep hoarding them until you find the gear that's right for your build. The good thing about energy is you can reallocate them to the active and passive skills you intend to focus on without consuming another type of resource. Just take swapping gear into consideration because you might accidentally wield the ones that provide you with limited energy. Speaking of skills, Torchlight Infinite features a sealed mana mechanic specifically for passives and some support skills. What happens here is that a portion of your mana is blocked off, thereby reducing your total available mana. But there is a way to mitigate this. One way is to equip 3 or 4 skills without the mana restrictions. Support skills that are linked to trigger skills consume mana automatically. As such, they add to the overall computation of sealed mana. Having 30 to 40% of this resource is fine since you can generate it quickly upon investing in medium talent nodes. These mana nodes grant restoration on hit while increasing the capacity in some cases. Furthermore, you should get and equip pack spirits that grant mana restoration perks, allowing you to freely increase sealed mana without limiting your character's capabilities. When it comes to loot, a good practice is to store high-valued items such as purple, orange, and pink gear in your inventory. Doing so will let you either exchange them for flame residue to save flame dust or sand. These are the resources you'll heavily make use of for enchanting and crafting once you know the equipment to use later on. When your bag is full, you'll only need to approach a trader to trade your gear for flame residue. They should be available on most maps next to the teleportation waypoints. Furthermore, remember that you can collect different types of gear which are not necessarily restricted to the class you are currently playing. As such, you can choose to share these with the rest of your characters. If they are all on a single account, remember to access the universal inventory by speaking with the Spacetime Wanderer NPC in town to transfer gear. Torchlight Infinite is a free-to-play ARPG, which means that you do not have to pay using real money to progress efficiently. Instead, there are numerous in-game currencies that you earn by playing, so you need to be familiar with which ones to farm to become stronger. By defeating hordes of enemies, you already gain a couple of them, such as energy cores and Jagged Primocrysts. We have already talked about energy cores before, so we'll focus on Jagged Primocrysts instead. These are the most common currency in the game. By completing specific activities listed under merits and redeeming them, you can acquire hundreds of Jagged Primocrysts. In this section, there is the Path of Achievements and Path of Progression. Path of Achievements lists the milestones you successfully reach for your account. Under the story, completing the main campaign for each of the classes will yield a decent amount of this currency. For progression, equipping rare and legendary gears alone will already provide you with 20 Jagged Primocrysts. Same goes for Path of Progression, except that this is more focused on improving your hunter training, skills and talents, and gear mastery. With enough Jagged Primocrysts, you can purchase revival tokens to revive your character fully without experiencing an XP loss, bag expansion to carry more items, and universal inventory expansion to store items that your other characters can use. Furthermore, this currency can be spent to redeem ceremonial insight and insight crystals to draw season-exclusive and regular pack spirits, respectively, over at the Boon. As with most games incorporating the Season Pass system, the game's season guide features free and paid tiers. You essentially get the same currencies, except that for the paid tier, you also receive outfits, portraits, one additional hero, and advanced auto-loot, allowing your pack spirits to automatically acquire valuable items such as energy cores and elixirs of oblivion for talent nodes. Other than these, there are no further bonuses, so you can continue to play as you want to unlock goodies in the free tier. Rewards rotate depending on the season, which lasts for 3 months. Remember that Jagged Primocrysts differ from Primocrysts in the sense that the latter is bought with real money. Primocrysts allow you to obtain cosmetics during the seasonal event, buy season pass levels to progress the rewards faster, expand your trade house, booths tab, and purchase special heroes that are not available on the login page. When you go over to the event center, which is located at the very bottom of the menu list, you'll notice several activity target lists that function similar to Path of Achievement and Path of Progression. Completing them grants currency bonuses simply by logging in and finishing specific objectives like Destiny 2's bounties. Here you can acquire hero emblems to purchase other heroes, regret points to reallocate talent nodes after level 80 because once you reach this level, you can't just do it whenever you want and you need regret points, and you can also get more revival tokens. Additionally, events are not timed, so you're not pressured to go online at certain times of the day to get rewarded for constantly playing the game. In order to efficiently level up your character, you should clear as many enemies as possible before moving on to the current map's next section. Simply hit the tab key to view their numbers. The reason is that the buffs you receive always restart when you move to the next instance, so it's better to take advantage of this buff counter, which you activate by pressing V to whittle down your targets efficiently. Another way to gain XP boosts is by equipping the right pack spirits that provide those effects. For starters, you have the Hell Cavalry, Traveling Lizard, Ocean, and Spirit Bless. The latter two especially grant additional max energy shield and mana boosts. When you have 2 or more active pack spirits, you have the option of switching their respective nodes. This means you can stack the total amount of XP you earn as you're progressing through the main campaign. Stay tuned for more Torchlight Infinite guides, and be sure to drop by our Twitch channel if you have questions about the game. If you enjoyed this beginner guide, check out our Torchlight Infinite Overview Closed Beta Hands-on Impressions article, and be sure to click the link below to support the channel if you want to try out the game.